So welcome to Coffee Jim. This morning, we're talking about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and what the 12 traditions are. So you got 12 steps, how you declare you're an alcoholic and how you're going to go about changing. Where the traditions are more about Alcoholics Anonymous as a whole, not about the person, but about how you're going to change your life and how you're going to use it to help carry on the message for Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's what the traditions are. And it tells you stuff like you don't talk about, you don't fight. Well, let's look at the traditions here. So I'll just say here, so tradition 1, our Commonwealth fair should come first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. So what does that mean? Well, to me, that means if you go into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and you keep arguing with everybody there, you're going to leave and that's going to be the end of your sobriety. Where if you work and if you become able to say, I can agree to disagree, then all of a sudden you become in the group. And you guys can accomplish stuff as a group, which we couldn't accomplish on our own. If we could, we wouldn't be in Alcoholics Anonymous. So in tradition 2, see what it says. It says, for a group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means exactly what it says. You know, we rely on a higher power. None of us are in charge of AA. If you think you're the leader of a group, you're right, because everybody thinks the same thing. So they're all leaders. No, none of us are any better just because I got 20 years, 30 years, 3 days. From a group point of view, we're all the same. And that's why this has worked for 75 years, because nobody takes ownership that they own it. There'll be bleeding deacons out there who will say they know more than everybody else, and maybe they do know more, but who cares? As a group, it's a group that has the power, and that's what's nice about it. Tradition 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. Well, that's an awesome, awesome statement, because if you had to quit drinking in order to join Alcoholics Anonymous, you would never join it. Because how could you quit before you joined it? If that makes any sense, you alcoholics out there. Because when you go to an AA meeting, you have a desire to quit drinking, but you haven't quit. Chances are you haven't quit. That's where you're going to get the motivation to quit. And if you fall off and go out and drink again, we don't want to say you can't come to AA because you drank. Now, we want you to come back and say, well, I got a desire to quit drinking. Hopefully, get on the saddle and see if you can do it next time. So, tradition 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. So if you want to make some rules for your group, that's fine, as long as it doesn't affect other group. Now, there's other things that talk about, you can't join religions and do other groups out of your group. But really, it's telling you that if you want to have your group meeting at 6:30, you can have it at 6:30. If you want an hour and a half meeting, you can have an hour and a half meeting, as long as it doesn't affect other groups as a whole. So, pretty basic stuff. 5, each group has but one primary purpose. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry the message to the alcoholic who still suffers. That's all you're doing. You're carrying the message, and maybe that guy will have a desire to quit drinking, or not. And you can't beat around the bush, and it tells you in the big book at different points that, you know, don't waste your time when somebody doesn't want to quit. You go there, do as best you can, But if a guy's insistent about everything's wrong, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, don't push him away. Just say, well, good luck. Come and see me, you know where I'm at. And that's how to grow Alcoholics Anonymous. Because everybody you argue with, you're pushing away. Don't argue. You can't change a man's mind. If somebody could have changed their mind, they wouldn't need to come there, because I'm sure most people, their wife or husband, harped on them for years, you got to quit drinking. That doesn't matter what you say. It's what they have to have that desire. So each group ought to be fully self-supporting, says Tradition 7, declining outside contributions. And this is a big thing, and this has happened many times in Alcoholics Anonymous. Somebody can come in the group, throw $1,000 in the pot, and that's it. He can throw the $1,000, but the group is going to decide what happens to that $1,000. He can't say, well, I'm going to give you $1,000 if you do this or if you do that. It's like any other gift. Give it away, and it'll come back to you. But don't give it away with strings. And that's why we won't let anybody come in. We won't advertise for Coke or treatment center or anything else, because money has a way of changing how we look at stuff. And we don't want money to be the driving part of Alcoholics Anonymous. Tradition 6, an AA group shall never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. Well, that's what I just explained in step 7. There's a reason for that. And number 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. Well, this always becomes an issue with me because I own a treatment center. So then there's, well, nobody can do AA in your treatment center because they're professionals, and it's not what it says. It says Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. Well, we're not Alcoholics Anonymous. I certainly believe in Alcoholics Anonymous. I believe that's how people get sober and stay sober. But at no point am I related to Alcoholics Anonymous. I got 30 years sobriety, so what? And that doesn't make me a partial owner, which is the whole idea of the traditions, that you can't tie your name to it, otherwise you'll drag the whole thing down. If this treatment center fails, is AA going to take a hit? Of course not. AA's got nothing to do with this treatment center. It's like me saying any other thing. You know, watch Fox News, watch CNN, whatever you want to watch. If I do that and they fail, am I going to be part of the failure? Of course not. It's an outside enterprise. Alcoholics Anonymous is outside to us. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly to responsible to those they serve. Now, that's an easy statement to make because it is the most disorganized, organized institution that I've ever had anything to do with. So they never have to worry about never being organized. They will never organize because nobody has a greater part of it than anybody else, which is great. I love it. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous said no opinion on outside issues. Hence, AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. Well, you think about that. And it's funny, we're talking about veterans here, and there's these people that have issues with, we shouldn't go to war. Other people say, oh, everybody should be passive. Other people are aggressive. Those are all outside issues. The only issues in Alcoholics Anonymous is if you have a desire to quit drinking. That's the only issue. So when you come in, I don't want to hear about how the Maple Leafs are doing, or how the Flames are doing, or how politics, whether you're conservative, Republican, liberal, whatever you are, I don't care. Do you have a desire to quit drinking? And that's it. So let's talk about the primary purpose of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it isn't to convince you to vote one way or another way or buy here or buy there. Pretty simple, I think. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And I believe we should. I don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I don't think that's an issue. But I don't speak for Alcoholics Anonymous. Because if I did, I'd be wrong. Do I believe it works? Absolutely I do. But I don't speak for it. It speaks for itself. So. 12, anonymity is a spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personality. Well, that goes back to whether you can accept somebody where they're at. If I can't stay mad at you because of something you said in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, or you come in with a history that I don't like, I can't let any of that influence me. All I can let influence me is this person have a desire to quit drinking. And if he has a desire to quit drinking, I'll help him around the desire to quit drinking as much as I can. A lot of stuff with politics, money. My old sponsor said, if you're going to lend money to alcoholics in a room, somebody wants to borrow money, don't do it, Jim. He said, if you can afford to lend it to him, give it to him. That way, I won't carry a grudge that this guy doesn't return it, and he won't not come to the room because he owes me money. So if I ever give anybody anything, I give it to them. And the problems in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous is when you build these outside relationships based on being in the rooms, and then you borrow something from somebody, and that person expects it back. That's a bad, bad thing to do. So if you can afford to, give it to them. If you can't, say no. And no is a complete sentence. So thanks for listening to me. God bless. May you have a great day.